Well, you don't see this every day, but a federal judge did side with DOGE. U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell said he was not able to stop DOGE's takeover of the $500 million United States Institute of Peace building. Court documents say that DOGE took over the building for free. Howell says that DOGE had already transferred the building and the property inside of it on Saturday. As a result, the judge wrote on Tuesday, the deal is no longer merely proposed, but it's done, rendering plaintiffs' requested relief moot as to that property.
Outside General Counsel to the USIP, George Foote, criticized the judge's ruling. Foote wrote, "That's like letting a burglar break into your house, steal your TV, and have the court say, well, there's no TV to adjudicate, so I can't do anything about it." Congress created the United States Institute of Peace in 1984. It is a nonprofit that is dedicated to keeping peace abroad.
The Trump administration in March had fired most members of USIP's board. 5 of the fired board members sued some in the Trump administration. They filed suit against the Trump administration afterwards. Those former board members argued that USIP acts separately from the executive branch and is thus independent. They had filed an emergency motion Monday after seeing that DOGE had tried taking over the building on Saturday. Here's how it all went down. On March 25th, DOGE staffer Nate Kavanaugh was installed as the USIP president. Then he sent a letter to the acting administrator of the General Services Administration. That letter argued that transferring the USIP building was in the best interests of the USIP, the federal government, and the U.S. On Saturday, March 30th, the Office of Budget and Management approved the transfer, which didn't actually cost DOGE anything.
The drama had been building up for a while. After USIP board members were fired, agency staffers had banned DOGE employees from entering the building. This resulted in DOGE coming back with the D.C. police and a key they had taken from a former USIP contractor.
Now, to be sure, the judge's ruling doesn't mean that the transfer is permanent. The judge suggested that a larger ruling concerning whether the fired board member should be reinstated would determine if USIP gets the building back. That ruling is expected at the end of this month. So
this is the deal, Robby.
I like peace. Go ahead.
You do? Okay.
I love peace.
So there's
All for
a thing
peace.
called peace creation. You know, back in the old days, people didn't take care of their health. They didn't look into nutrition. They didn't look into exercise or lifestyle. Then if they got sick, they just hoped that they could take a medicine in order to eradicate the symptoms, okay? But we don't think that way anymore. We think in terms of creating health. We think in terms of nutrition. We think in terms of lifestyle. We think in terms of exercise and the things we can do to foster health. We need to be the same way with peace and war. Things like the Institute of Peace actually help prevent violence. When there is greater peace in an area, through such things as humanitarian concerns, helping people have less desperate lives, this actually decreases the probability of violence and definitely decreases the possibility of war. So by getting rid of these soft powers, we are giving up on smart power. We are going full towards brute force, domination, hard power, and it's taken us decades to build a system where soft power and smart power is part of our foreign policy, and this we are going to pay a terrible price for this, and we will be seeing this over the next few years.
I guess my rejoinder to that would be, has the time period where this agency existed been one that coincides with reductions in global tensions, with a pivot from harder to softer policy? Look, is the Biden administration a softer diplomacy, less military? I don't know. They've funded Ukraine unlimited. Said they would have funded them to the end of time. Didn't push back on Netanyahu whatsoever. The world became a less stable, less peaceful place during the years of Biden, and Trump is trying to get that back on track.
Hold on. We were just reading. It was founded in 1984. That was a Republican president. This didn't used to be something that only Democrats believed in, trying to foster peace and diplomacy. So that's like saying, well, if you didn't get a certain disease, do we know that it's because you ate better? Do we know because you exercised better? Do we know that it's because of a healthier lifestyle? We can't know for sure, but there are all kinds of things that could happen that have not happened. And yes, it is absolutely logical and reasonable to assume that it's because of peace creation measures. These things are proven statistically. When you have greater education for women, when you have greater economic opportunities for women, when you have greater education for children, when you have an amelioration of unnecessary human despair, those are the kinds of things that these peace-building institutes and agencies take care of. Statistically, you have a lower incidence chance of violence and a greater probability of peace. Why would anyone get rid of that? Why would anyone think it's saving us money? No, it's going to cost us so much in the years to come.
It's not that complicated to have peace. You don't get involved in other countries militarily. You don't overthrow their leaders or foster coups within them. You establish favorable trade relations where we manufacture goods there, and that creates jobs for them. It starts out, they're not great jobs, but it's better than utter starvation, and then those countries develop and they get better economies, and then they end up with better rules for the treatment of people. But like that's how everything has progressed in the developing world, and it creates peace, and it creates all the things you're talking about, and then more opportunities for women, better treatment of children, all of that.
Who provides the opportunities for women? Who provides the economic opportunities for women? Who provides the educational opportunities for
industries.
Industry
businesses.
Does not, though.
Yes,
Robbie,
it does.
Robbie,
What is an economic opportunity but a job?
I know you think the market takes care of everything.
The market literally provides what you just talked about.
In providing more education for children. That's the point. Children do not function in such a way yet as to increase an economic bottom line.
Education is publicly provided, but the market does provide economic opportunities for women. That is what an economic opportunity is.
Well,
right? I mean, that's what the market...
But in many cases, there have been barriers against women participating.
Legal barriers, not market barriers. Laws.
Yeah, yes and no, and no. My point is there's more to it than just thinking that market principles can be the governing principles and everything. Much of what you're talking about, it's a world here, there's a lot more beyond that, including the fact that many of these spaces we are now withholding funding for and withholding support for will be taken up by China, will be taken up by Russia, will be taken up by people in ways that we will be paying a price in the years to come. Market principles alone cannot...
I'm not saying market principles alone, but I don't want to underappreciate the role that markets and trade and having. Well,
I don't think that I underestimate, but I think
other people in
I would actually agree with
circle.
that. I think that in general, I know it's a stereotype, it's a broad assertion, but I think in general the Republicans, act like the market is God. In many cases, the Democrats don't respect it enough. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a middle ground there, which is healthy. However, the idea of public spending on peace creation measures, including diplomacy, including the various kinds of programs that institutes like this do, getting rid of these things is insane. It's absurd. And it has nothing to do with serving the American people. And this, once again, it was founded by under a Republican administration, and for good reason. Ronald Reagan wasn't this stupid.
Well, I think we had some agreement today, Marianne.
Yes,
it was a more pleasant day in the chair. Next up, I'm really looking forward to this. We've got a great interview with Senator Rand Paul, who will talk about tariffs in the Department of Education. Trump came for him on Truth Social last night. We'll ask him to respond.